I have a message from the village Jedi.
Max Rebo, hit it! Hello, and happy Friday. I hope you had a wonderful week and that you're headed into a fabulous weekend. This is another Star Wars Point of View brought to you by the local Village Jedi. My name is Marina, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. As I said, I hope you are having a fabulous week and a fabulous Friday, and you kind of are if you're taking a little bit of time to spend it with me. I'm just going to gaslight myself into thinking that your time with me is genuinely enjoyable, because I know that my time with you is a hoot and toot. So last week we went over part 1 of the Siege of Mandalore. I had a lot of fun recording that episode. I actually have had a lot of fun putting together the show notes for these episodes. I love the Siege of Mandalore. And as I said last week, what's something I could talk about for 4 weeks straight on my entire show, take up the entire month of July? Y'all, I just thought of something poetic. It is July, which is the 7th month, and we are going over the final episodes of the 7th season. She's a poet and she didn't even know it. Okay, y'all, she is also annoying. But that's the Village Jedi for you. A little bit about how we run the place. If you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok at the Village Jedi, I would greatly appreciate it. Or you can get even more involved with the discussion anonymously by sending in an email for me to read and discuss on air at tvjpod@gmail.com. Again, this is part of an audio-only exclusive series since I am out of town for the next couple weeks. But don't you worry your pretty little heads, I did not forget you. Let's go ahead and get into part 2. But first, a brief ad break. Hello there. If you're looking to build your collection, the Village Jedi is now collaborating with Saber Masters to offer you $20 off your first combat-ready laser sword. You heard that correctly, combat-ready. The team at Saber Masters makes it their personal mission to create lightsabers built to last using lightweight polycarbonate blades with customizable settings and simple navigation. Saber Masters has really crafted the ultimate experience. Saber Masters is always offering a great deal for Force users everywhere, but with my code TVJ20, you can save an extra $20 at checkout. Simply type in the code at the checkout screen, TVJ20, and you're done. Link will be in the show notes. Part 2. The Phantom Apprentice. This episode runs for 29 minutes. Last time we did a little bit of pre-show info before we deep dove, and y'all know that is what we will be doing this week as well. Gotta stay consistent, at least for 2 weeks in a row. I wanted to revisit Maul before we get into the episode breakdown show notes. This is our very first time seeing him since this show had gotten canceled. We saw his silhouette last week, we heard references to him, but this week, again, I'm trying to approach these episodes as if we were reliving the experience for the first time. It's 2020. The world is crashing out. There's crazy things going on. But you know what you can bet on? That next episode. Next week, I'm going to be seated. Disney Plus is going to release that next episode. And guess what? They did. Part 2, The Phantom Apprentice. We are learning in real time what has been happening to Maul since we saw him last. He's been on Mandalore. He's seeking safe haven after brutally losing a 2v1 against Sidious. He lost his brother. His plan right now really hasn't been to get back on Sidious's radar in that way. But as we'll learn through the progression of these episodes, specifically this one, his main plan is to thwart his old master. We specifically see that later on in his own show, Maul Shadow Lord. His character continues to evolve. It has evolved again. His still major plot point is emphasis on his past with Sidious, but it's been interesting to spend more time with this character after being reintroduced to him in Clone Wars. He has been given a huge surge of popularity since his own show came out, and now rewatching these episodes, seeing that every choice is intentional. He even says that every choice you've made has led you to this moment. That is how he lives and operates, and we see that as a key part of his strategy and thinking points throughout not only these 4 episodes, but the entirety of his own show. He's just entertaining. And I'm pointing all of this out specifically because of this episode's title. We're going to spend a little bit of time on that. Part 2, The Phantom Apprentice. It runs for 29 minutes. On the surface, this is obviously a reference to the Phantom Menace, where we initially meet Maul, and in that movie, he is the Phantom Apprentice. But according to Google, a phantom is specifically something that appears to exist or be sensed, but has no physical reality. So really, is Maul the only reference point in both occasions, the Phantom Menace and the Phantom Apprentice? No. With that ominous definition, it could be argued that Anakin is also the Phantom Apprentice, and later he himself becomes the Phantom Menace. He became something no one had expected. He moved in silence and unexpectation. As this storyline goes on to explain, Maul is the one that senses Anakin becoming the unexpected apprentice. Right? Maul is the one that senses Anakin stepping out and into the shadows. But it goes one more layer. Maul invites Ahsoka to become his apprentice. Something completely unexpected for fans everywhere. Essentially joining forces. And I remember thinking like, oh, that would have been really cool. Well, guess what, honey? Guess what, mama? Fast forward six years. That's the whole plot of Maul Shadow Lord, is he figures out how to make a teenage girl his apprentice, and they become the most iconic duo to run the crime syndicates of the galaxy. Iconic. So anyways, the Phantom Apprentice, that's my tangent, that's my soapbox, that is the tone for this episode. Let's get into the breakdown show notes. We pick up from last week. I would love, like any other reasonable, rational human being who enjoys Star Wars animated content, would love to watch this whole thing play out in theaters. It really does watch like a movie. We just jump right back into the action. There's no Admiral Yularen World War II propaganda business. No. We get the ominous red letters, Part 2, The Phantom Apprentice, and it is about to go down. Maul simply just says, Ahsoka Tano, is it? I can't say yours is a name familiar to me. Ahsoka ends up pressing a little button on her arm wrist. It calls the clones for help. She knows she's outnumbered, but she keeps Maul talking, and Maul sort of references Anakin, saying like, I wonder if the moment may be upon us. I will die on this hill. I am dead. Cold corpse. Every Maul line of dialogue you will hear comes across intentional. Sam Witwer gets in the studio and has 0 throwaway lines. 0 filler. He gets every cent of that check. He earns it. Every time Maul opens his mouth, you are hanging on each word, especially in this episode. He is cunning. He is intelligent. He's just him, you know? Like, I don't know if there's any better way to describe it. He is a Force-sensitive, messy Thrawn. He is a single dad Thrawn. So, loving this. He reveals that he was hoping for Kenobi and this stranger Skywalker would be coming. Ahsoka's interest is piqued, and so is Maul's. She tells him to surrender, but Maul admits that soon the Jedi and Republic will no longer be in control, and that surrender is useless, and why would I go with you and become a prison for a system that's about to crumble? Ahsoka tries to understand what he's meaning, suggesting that the fallen Sith Lord is proposing the new controlling force would be him, and instead he responds no. Then with a shaking voice he can barely get out, Darth Sidious. And the fans started rioting in the streets. A name drop is wild. Again, these 4 episodes take every single risk and jump off the cliff with it. They are hurling at Mach 4 speed into the abyss of craziness. Do you remember watching this for the first time? Because that's the energy I was trying to put into these episode debriefs. When you are sitting there, it is May 2020. All you have to live for is the next week of Star Wars media and maybe that FaceTime with your bestie so you can play Among Us. Baby doll. What a time to be alive. I'm not saying in any shape or form I would go back, but wow, to relive this kind of moment. And we got a little bit of that back with Maul Shadowlord. He is just such an exciting, entertaining character to watch, and you never want him to leave your screen, not even for a second. Everything he says matters. So obviously the conversation gets cut short as the battle ensues. Maul ends up retreating back into the sewer pipe and says, no, not yet. Like, this is not the time, mamacita. I'll meet you back at noon. Same time, same place, baby girl. He still has more to put together. He wants to regroup. This is not going to plan, but he gives absolutely no indication that he's rattled or dissuaded. He's like a master chess player. Like if you took his most valuable piece on the board, he would just shrug it off. My man's got a plan B, C, D, and E. And he's got F just for fun. So this is the level of caliber that Ahsoka is going up against, and she has no idea. And you as a fan kind of have an idea, but you gain more respect and appreciation for his intellect as the episode goes on, which is so exciting to relive this for the first time, I swear. We didn't know how good we had it. Or at least I didn't. We cut to the throne room. There's a holocall update with Kenobi. And at this point, Kenobi reveals that Dooku has been killed. And Sidious is suspectedly the Sith Lord who orchestrated the Clone Wars. He's playing both sides from the beginning. And he references the conversation that he had on Geonosis where Dooku revealed this name and suspected plot. The council didn't take it seriously then, but this information from Ahsoka should have given them more a reason to investigate further. But again, girl, even if they did, that ball has rolled, dropped, and kathunked. Even if it did, it would have been too late. The ball is rolling. There's no stopping its destruction. Only now are people starting to put the pieces together. And by people, I mean an evil, horned crazy, as Hondo Ohnaka would say. So we are seeing in real time Kenobi starting to think, hey, maybe Dooku wasn't crazy. Maybe he wasn't trying to, just yap. Bro. But you as a fan already know how things are going to go, but you don't care. You're still on the edge of your seat. You can't believe that Kenobi just revealed that to Ahsoka. Ahsoka's shocked to hear that Anakin was the one that killed Dooku. Obi-Wan, in fact, proposes that the team captures Maul in hopes that his information may unlock the key to Dooku's riddles. It ain't gonna. Obi-Wan reveals that he's actually been sent to Utapau, and the audience's hearts drop through their seats. Utapau? We are nearing the bitter end. At this point, we know exactly what's happening, how far into Revenge of the Sith we are, and that this story will not end on Mandalore. We are going to see an animated Order 66. That's when I put it together. The first time I watched these episodes, I was like, oh, we are in for the treat of all treats. We are in for the treat of all treats. I was expecting you to bring out a tray of like store-bought chocolate chip cookies, and instead you came out with a homemade tiramisu. Okay, that's how this felt back in 2020. So, Kenobi also ends up revealing to Ahsoka that the council has asked Anakin to spy on the Chancellor, and Ahsoka says, I can't imagine Anakin would be happy about this. Obi-Wan. Palpatine has been a great friend and mentor to Anakin, which is exactly how Anakin describes their relationship in Revenge of the Sith. Anakin himself describes Chancellor Palpatine as a great friend and mentor. Peak! It is peak. Every little crumb you catch is just as good as the main dish itself, and that is saying something. So, what ends up happening is Obi-Wan pleads with Ahsoka, please speak to Anakin. Obviously, he's not happy about this, but like maybe he'll listen to you. She's interrupted by Rex before she can agree to anything, and before the call is over, she just turns back to Obi-Wan and says, tell Anakin. And Obi-Wan just goes, I will. Tell Anakin what? In Rebels, we know that they meet on Malachor and that that's sort of their next interaction between Anakin / Darth Vader and Ahsoka Tano. She says to him, I won't leave you. Not again. So with that line of dialogue, I'm inferring that she wanted Obi-Wan to tell Anakin, you're not alone. I'm on your side. I won't leave you again. She carries the guilt of walking away from him, knowing he never made peace with her decision to leave the Order. She doesn't regret leaving the Order or the Council. She regrets leaving him. She feels that a part of her betrayed everything that he had taught her, everything he made her, and that she left him and he could not make peace with that. She carried that guilt until their reunition on Malachor. Reunion, mama. Let's use English. She carried that guilt until their reunion on Malachor, which we all know how that ended up going. And if you don't, watch the show, Rebels. Okay. The two-part of this interaction is not only like we're thinking about, oh, she's never going to get to give that message to Anakin. Obi-Wan is also not going to be able to give that message to Anakin. Because the next time they see each other, he's already slaughtered younglings and turned to the dark side. And Ahsoka never gets a chance to talk to Obi-Wan again. So I put that together as well, that this is their last time meeting. This is their last interaction. Whew, yikes. So there's sort of this tense music now. We cut to a build-up. We're back down in the sewers. There's carnage, and it's revealed that ARC Trooper Jesse, my king, has been taken by Maul because Maul could somehow sense that Jesse was the eldest of the clones. Therefore, he's going to know more. So we cut to that interrogation. Maul is using the Force to learn information specifically about Ahsoka Tano. Maul says clones, bred for combat, and all part of the plan. He is putting it together. He is reading Sidious like a book, the more pieces he is able to gather. It's all making sense. Maul ends up telling Saxon, hey, go take out the Prime Minister because he knows too much. And it's at this point that we realize Force interrogation is a painful process. Maul says, your mind will speak or it will break. And we see these tactics later used by Inquisitors in Maul Shadow Lord. The dark side being used to take something against your will is a powerful analogy of wickedness and what it is capable of in the hands of a greedy person who wants to take something away from you against your will. I'm just going to leave that out to dry. We cut to prison. Ahsoka and Bo interrogate Almec about Maul's plan to escape. Maul is not trying to escape. For weeks, he's actually been consumed by dread. It wasn't just Kenobi he wanted. There was someone else he was interested in. Almec continues, Maul had a vision, the name came to him, and his dying breath, he says, Skywalker. Ahsoka is absolutely shook. We hear a couple bars of the Vader theme playing in the background, and at this point, she's just confused. She has a ton of questions, and unfortunately, she understands that Maul is the only one with answers at this point. He holds all the cards, and she just needs to know what kind of game he's playing so that she can play too. She doesn't even know what she's up against. So Saxon returns to the hideout, and we see Maul speaking to his allies, the Black Sun leader, the Pike leader, and Dryden Voss of the Crimson Dawn. He tells them to go into hiding. Rook cast, she has a minor role here, but I love that she ends up getting more fleshed out in Shadow Lord. She gets sort of a glow up with her character design. Huge Rook cast fan. Huge Vanessa Marshall fan here at the Village Jedi podcast. Let's see, where are we? We learned that the Mandalorians were the ones who broke Maul out of Sidious's prison, and that their loyalty would continue to serve his current vision, not only for Mandalore, but his overreaching plot of what is driving him, how he is still moving through the galaxy. We hear one ring of the death knell bell, which is clear indication that something deadly is on the horizon. And I just have to know, did these scenes specifically influence the vibe of the Shadow Lord soundtrack, the Shadow Lord sets, the underground? Because it is working. It pairs so well with the vibes of that show, these 4 episodes. It just carries right through. You can finish Siege of Mandalore and just press play on Maul Shadow Lord, and you will have 0 issues, 0 complaints, and you will be applauding until your hands bleed. All right, great color scheme with the black and white as well. I wanted to point that out. Very cool. The citizens are obviously very unhappy about the Republic occupation, as it is against the law, and so Bo-Katan doesn't want this to last longer than it has to. She's like, all right, we need to wrap this up. And Ahsoka and Rex are like, I agree. They go into the throne room, the doors slide open, and Maul is just, perched all cutesy on the throne. He looks impatient, like he's just been waiting there forever. Oh my goodness, you told me 6, it's 8:30, he's just all sassy. I want to know, and maybe this isn't really an appropriate question to ask for the rant at hand, but why didn't Ahsoka force sense his presence? We see her fight. We know she lives. How has she cut herself that far off the Force that she wasn't able to feel his presence? And part of me thinks okay, maybe she's just kind of out of rhythm, blah, blah. But another part of me feels, this is just the wild and, reckless theory, Sidious put the fear of God into this man. He's going to do everything he can to stay off Sidious's radar. Even though he knows that he has his hands full with his new apprentice, he knows what that man is capable of, what kind of abuse and assault that man will come down and crack on him. So I was just thinking maybe Maul somehow manipulated the midichlorians so that it was harder for Ahsoka to sense him, because he's also trying to protect himself from Sidious's detection. He knows what's at stake and what's at hand. That's just a theory. A fan theory. I do not watch fan theory. I don't know where that came from. I think my brother used to watch it, but it just it kind of it triggered the what do they call it? The vocal stem. It triggered the vocal stem. Okay, anyways. ARC Trooper Jesse is released back to the team unharmed, and all Maul wants to do is talk. Now, the Mandalorians begin attacking the city to take it back from the Republic. Basically, we need to shut these guys down, send them packing. They can't be on this planet. This is what Maul ordered us to do. And so Maul sees all these explosions happening outside through the glass, and he's like, you want to take care of that? So Jesse, Rex, and now Bo-Katan, they all leave, and it's just Ahsoka and Maul at this point. I wanted to spend some time in this moment, though, because Maul doesn't care. He doesn't care that the Mandalorians should liberate Mandalore from a Republic occupation. He just wants to be alone with Ahsoka. So obviously he's going to create a distraction so that they can have a meaningful conversation, and he can try to persuade her to the dark side. Duh. But my thinking analysis podcast host brain was thinking there's got to be more to this. I'm missing something. Why did Maul spurn their efforts to create a distraction? It couldn't have just been for the simple fact he needed a distraction so that he could leave. he needed a distraction to have a civilized conversation with Ahsoka Tano. No. It made me wonder, did he want the Mandalorians occupied so they wouldn't turn on him? I was thinking also maybe he wanted to create more chaos so that the Republic would be forced to send more help. Maybe hopefully sending some Jedi general like Obi-Wan and Anakin. I don't know. Was this plan B? Was this plan C? Was this plan whatever that was shoved in the junk drawer? I don't know. But it just was kind of an interesting perspective. Like, he didn't tell them to attack the Republic soldiers because he actually cares about the welfare of the people and the treaties being broken and the prevention of another war. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a rip. So why did he create those distractions? There's many reasons, but I have a few conclusions that I've come to as I've stated. Bo-Katan leaves to fight. Ahsoka's now alone with Maul, and this is the bulk of the episode, is this dialogue. This is why we are here. This whole episode runs for 29 minutes, and this is why we're here. This is why I took my 30-minute lunch break. This is why I'm sitting here watching this episode. Maul says, "You are the one I wish to speak with," and he reminds her of the past where the Jedi betrayed her trust, her disdain for their hypocrisy. He builds common ground. He says that justice is merely the construct of the current power base, a base on which, according to my calculations, is about to change. Now that is a hot line. That basically your view of justice is only controlled by the powers who execute it. If I'm in control and I tell you how things are going to be done, I am the voice of what is just. And so Maul here is saying, like, you don't actually know what true justice is. You just know what you've been taught justice is. And the justice that you've been taught, because that's what Ahsoka says, she's like, I'm here to bring you to justice. The justice that you have been taught is to bring me into a corrupt government to stand an unfair rigged trial. A Sith Lord is running your government, baby girl. There's nothing justice about this. Okay? All right. So we keep moving. Maul begins to sort of snap at his urgency. He has this whole monologue that everybody memorizes. Too late for what? The Republic to fall? It already has, and you just can't see it. Like, the whole monologue. He's just getting all into it. He extends a truce. He says, the Jedi cannot defeat Sidious, but together you and I can. There's this cool shot of an explosion which dramatically shatters the window glass. It's the end of an era. The audience is sensing it as quickly as the characters. Like, we are putting together that we are at the peak. We're at the buzz point of the episode. Oh, we are all just on pins and needles. What is going to happen next? I cannot wait. But then I stopped to think. If I had a nickel for every time a Sith user extended his hand to a Jedi in a thrashed throne room, I'd have 2 nickels. Which, according to Dr. Doofenshmirtz, isn't a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice. Because we also see this in The Last Jedi with Kylo and Rey. Obviously, that was very different. But it's just funny that, like, to think about it, that, like, a Sith user extending his hand to a Jedi, like, and we're in a thrashed throne room. Here we are again. It's just kind of interesting. So Ahsoka agrees to help. She's like, I'll help you, but I just have a question. And Maul's like, you have but to ask, like, whatever you want. And she's like, what do you want with Anakin Skywalker? And then they have this back and forth of her coming to this realization, and him too. Him realizing that the Force has shielded her from understanding fully, but her recognizing that he is a lying loser. And so they have this go back and forth. He's like, he is the key to everything. And she goes, to bring balance to the Force? And he sort of has this question. He's like, to destroy it. He has long been groomed for his role as my master's new apprentice. And Ahsoka's like, you lie. And Maul kind of laughs it off. He's like, I'm afraid not. In fact, I was so certain of his fate, I orchestrated this all to lure him here with Kenobi to kill him, thus depriving Sidious of his prized pupil. The point of these 4 episodes, why we are even here, why the writer's room clocked in for their 9 to 5, is summed up in this one exchange of dialogue. Ahsoka ends up denying his truth, but Maul has never lied to her. And that is a truth that we as an audience need to sit with. That Ahsoka is like, you're lying. Little does she know, he doesn't lie. Maul doesn't speak falsehoods. There's no reason to. He has no reason to lie. He can manipulate the situation with truths, which is even more dangerous than a good liar. So he ends up saying, okay, I see the Padawan needs one last lesson, and their duel begins. They use, the same technology that they've used in past animation sequences where they sort of tie the I don't know what they're called, like action capturing beads, Orbi cameras on the actors, and they act out some choreography and the camera is able to capture their emotion. So that's this scene. Very well done. I love that we still see Darth Maul's earring. Very cutesy. Maul ends up sensing that he's going to be escaping alone. Like Ahsoka is not going to see his side. So he slowly begins his retreat toward the rendezvous point so he can escape with his life. At this point, you were realizing they really would not have made a good team. And it's not because she's independent or not naive enough, but it's because their values don't complement each other. He is so much better matched with Devin in terms of that master-apprentice relationship because Ahsoka values justice, or at least what she believes justice is, and Devin values revenge. So Maul needed to be with someone who was just as hurt and betrayed as she was. Ahsoka was hurt and betrayed by the Jedi Order, but it didn't affect her as badly as Order 66 affected Devin, reasonably so. So the Mandalorians are also forced to retreat, and so Gar Saxon calls Maul, and Maul is like, you know what, at any moment my ship's arriving, die well, Mandalorian. Hangs up the call like a beast savage. The duel sort of continues high in the air at the top of the city's glass domes, and he says, we could have destroyed Sidious. He's all mad, and Ahsoka's like, only for you to take his place, girly goo. No. But again, as a viewer, this is a believable reason why she didn't join him. She's not going to compromise her values. She truly believes what she's doing is right. And you're not thinking as a viewer that this plan is shallow or thinly veiled or that it's just like, I'm not buying into this. No. You believe that there could be a possibility that they do team up. And it's just so well done that it branches off Revenge of the Sith, which is canon. It is set in stone. You know that Revenge of the Sith, the events that happen in that movie, are not going to be retconned by this 4-episode, 29-minute piece. But you also recognize as a viewer that this is being so well done, what if? Like, what are they going to do? I know they're not going to do that, but like, how close are they going to come? It's just interesting. So Ahsoka ends up winning that duel. She then force grabs Maul before he can fall out of the sky, and he lets out this like blood-curdling, chilly screech. He says, let me go, let me die, you're all going to burn, we're all going to die, you don't know what you're doing. And at that point, he's sedated. These are not the ravings of a crazy person. This is the pleadings of someone who is convinced of an imminent reality. He knows without a shadow of a doubt what is coming, and he is devastated that he actually has to live through it now, because he would rather die than go through what the galaxy is about to experience at the hands of his old master, Darth Sidious. So this is where the episode ends. And we are going to go ahead and read 2 more submissions from the Instagram forum about what you listeners said that you enjoyed about the episode, and maybe some things that you would have changed. Okay, anonymously, what did you enjoy about watching the Siege of Mandalore? This person says, I think that it has some of the best writing in Star Wars, and you can tell how much effort they put into it. The Ahsoka versus Maul fight is truly a chef's kiss. The music, the fact they use motion capture, the monologue beforehand. It's my favorite arc to rewatch, and you can gain something from it each time. I also love Maul and Ahsoka's dynamic and how it points out how Ahsoka is still loyal to Anakin and her Jedi friends, but not the Jedi Order, and how she almost joins Maul because they both know the Jedi Order is corrupt. Also, the fact that there is no dialogue after Ahsoka and Rex's escape, and you just get to sit there with burying the dead at the end of the final episode and watch Ahsoka grieve for her brothers. I think that's the end of my long spiel. Sorry, girl, do not apologize. Like I said, I could rave and rant about these 4 episodes and their cinematic masterpiece, their animation breakthroughs, and the absolute peak storytelling that we were able to receive as an audience. Amazing. Okay, so would you change anything? Optional. We're going to read a second one from there. Honestly, nothing about the arc itself, but I wish they kept the Ahsoka book canon after their escape from Order 66. So I am going to have to reread the Ahsoka book, but I do remember that. At the beginning of the book, it's the Siege of Mandalore. Something happens with Rex and Ahsoka. I can't totally remember, but I do remember when I read it and then watched these episodes, it didn't match up. Like, the book seemed a lot more happy ending, and this is way more intense, gravitating, grounded. And so I feel as though the book was well written, and I do enjoy that story. It was my first Star Wars book, but the absolute art and perfection of these 4 episodes, I am totally fine if they retcon the book. However, I do recognize if that is something that you would change, I am willing to bend at the knee for that, because it is true that sometimes when there are sort of like inconsistencies within the stories, that can be a cause of frustration between fans and discussions and debates. So it is frustrating, especially when the book is right there. You know, you're telling me that while they were writing in the writer's room and in the storyboarding room, no one had a copy of Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston. You're telling me no one went to a local Barnes & Noble. Like, it's kind of hard for me to think like, well, we didn't want to go that direction creatively because it fell flat. Well, you know, could you try? Like, so again, I think that one is definitely debatable, and it is a worthy aspect to change for sure. Well, another fabulous week down talking about the Siege of Mandalore. We've got 2 more weeks to go. I'm so excited to get back on the typical schedule, recording with you guys, get back to our YouTube. But in the meantime, this is where the fun ends. My only hope is you enjoyed, and I will yap at you guys again next Friday. Bye!
This has been The Village Jedi. Thank you so much for listening. To support this show, please leave a rating or review wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Go check out the YouTube channel, or send me an email to be read and discussed on air. You can also tell a fellow nerd to build the community. I mean this in the nerdiest way possible. May the Force be with you.